What is going on, everybody? Sergey from MMA Soap Opera. So, in the last video, we talked about Alexandre Pantoja going against Kai Asakura. Kai Asakura is having his UFC debut and is going straight for the belt. But also, we discussed the rematch between Cyril Gane and Alexandre Volkov and all the implications that is having on the heavyweight division. So if you're interested in those two videos, you're gonna find links in the description. But today, we are having a look at the highly anticipated match between Shavkat Rakhmonov and Ian Garry. I think that everyone started talking about the possibility of this matchup maybe like a year and a half ago, and we're finally getting it. But before we jump into that, if you're into UFC, MMA, all the drama that is happening in the background, you're in the right place. So make sure to hit subscribe and ring the bell so that you don't miss any upcoming videos, because that's exactly what we're talking about in here. And with the housekeeping out of the way, let's jump into the video. So Ian Garry, this dude has been known for rubbing people the wrong way. However, I feel like just like Paddy Pimblett, he sort of dialed it down a little bit. These days he's coming across more like a regular, confident MMA fighter who thinks he's the best, which is totally normal. I really hope that he's gonna keep his energy like this. He's been actually speaking kinda nice and respectful about Shavkat these days, and I really like it. I think that now is just the time for Ian Garry to show up and show off. And he's definitely taken a step in the right direction with this fight with Shavkat. I already showed my respect for him for accepting that fight. I think that is just really commendable. Not many are actually giving Ian Garry a lot of chance in this fight, and I'm wondering if that's reasonable, because obviously, first of all, this is an MMA fight, anything can happen, but also, Ian Garry is a great fighter. Last time we saw him in the octagon, it was against MVP, and even though that performance wasn't anything super exciting, he showed that he's capable of sticking to a game plan and make sure that he's gonna win. He definitely showed some great movement, he had some fantastic speed for the weight class. Sure, he wasn't as fast as MVP, but still, for the weight class, pretty good stuff. And even though we didn't see Ian Garry to get any finishes lately, I think that he's still more than capable of doing that. Considering the fact that he lived in Brazil and trained in Brazil for such a long time, we know that he's gonna have pretty good ground game. Like, obviously, you know that those guys made sure that if the fight hits the ground for Ian Garry, he's gonna be more than adequate to deal with it. And you know, since he's training in Thailand right now, I actually believe that we're gonna see an improved version of Ian Garry with much better striking and finishing abilities in the stand-up. I truly believe that, and if you combine these skills with the confidence that he's carrying, I actually believe that Ian Garry is gonna be a problem for Shavkat. Speaking of Shavkat Rakhmonov, the boogeyman of the welterweight division, the dude is a finishing machine, man. 0 losses, 18 wins, and all the 18 wins by a finish as well. Dude, that's a ridiculous statistic. So Ian Garry is saying that Shavkat's wins in UFC are not as impressive as UFC wins of his own. That is debatable, but what is not debatable is that Shavkat is exciting and impressive every single time he steps in the octagon. As opposed to Ian Garry, you know, no disrespect, but the excitement level of his own performances is pretty debatable, in my opinion. But anyways, Shavkat is one of those guys that doesn't really steer the pot too much outside of the octagon. He seems to be pretty humble, kinda wholesome as well, but pretty hardworking. You can tell that the man is on the mission to put Kazakhstan back on the MMA map again. And oh boy, is he succeeding in this. I'm really happy that he worked himself up to this level in UFC, because from now on, it's only gonna be super exciting matchups for him. And I actually gotta say, he doesn't necessarily seems to be unbeatable. He is letting his opponents to land on him, and if I remember correctly, Jeff Neal actually landed some bombs that rocked Shavkat. So Shavkat's game is definitely not completely flawless, but he's reminding me a lot of Charles Oliveira actually. It's just this combination of the super high skill, but also the fact that he gets in trouble and he still finds a way to win. That's what makes Shavkat so fun and so exciting to watch. The finishes of Shavkat Rakhmonov are spectacular as well. He definitely has the power to knock you out, and lately it seems like he's been falling in love with his submission game as well. Like that stand-up choke that he finished Jeff Neal with was insane. So, Ian Garry versus Shavkat Rakhmonov, how does this fight end? Here's what I think. I don't believe that Ian Garry can finish Shavkat Rakhmonov. If he's gonna keep his distance and if he's gonna point fight, I think that he might get the decision. Like if Jeff Neal couldn't knock down Shavkat, he's not gonna be able to do that either. And I really don't believe that Ian would like to take this fight to the ground with him. Shavkat, on the other hand, like we said, he's a finishing machine. And I actually think that the key for Shavkat to win against Garry is probably gonna be his submission game. Like Ian Garry is pretty durable and he has some great movement, so I don't think that he's gonna be able to KO him. But if he's gonna be able to take the fight to the ground, I do believe that eventually he's gonna find the choke. So, here is my prediction. I do believe that Shavkat will be able to take Ian Garry down and that he's gonna eventually find a choke in the 4th round. This is it for today's video, guys. Are you also excited for the Shavkat Rakhmonov and Ian Garry fight? Let me know in the comment section down below. And when you are there, also make sure to hit like, but also subscribe and ring the bell. That way you don't miss any upcoming videos. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy UFC 310. This was Sergey from MMA Soap Opera, because that's what it is.